Welcome to Matrix Uploaded. This is English for grade 10, 11 and 12, and our focus is listening and speaking. And specifically, we're looking at the issues of humor. Now, one of the aspects of your syllabus is that you have to listen to something which contains humor. You have to listen maybe to the words of a song, and it has to be a funny song, and it's actually quite tricky. What makes humor difficult? The problems with humor is that what you find funny depends upon your culture, your background, your level of education, what you know, what you've experienced, your socializing, your own personal tastes in humor. So humor is very, very difficult. Now, when I was looking for some songs and trying to find some funny songs, I was looking on the internet, and most of them are very vulgar. They're very rude. So you can go looking for those kinds of songs. I'm not going to. So I thought, okay, what else can we look at? And I thought, look at the syllabus. It says listening to jokes. And again, jokes can be quite tricky. Jokes can be very offensive to some people. You have to be careful what you make jokes about. And so I decided possibly I'd look at Chuck Norris jokes. Now, you need a little bit of background, and I'm not sure if all of you will know who Chuck Norris is. He has become very well known through his television and his film work, and he's known as a martial arts expert. So when I was looking up some information, for example, he was in the Air Force after high school. He did a stint in Korea. He began studying the Asian martial art of Tang Soo Do. Then he returned home and he became a karate instructor. He was teaching, he started by teaching sort of part-time and then went on to full-time teaching. And in 1968, he became a professional world middleweight karate champion. And he stayed that world middleweight karate champion till he retired in 74. You're getting an idea about this man. He is a black belt in Tang Soo Do and Taekwondo. They are both Korean fighting martial arts. He, in fact, is an expert in all kinds of martial arts. In 1996, he was the first Westerner to be awarded an 8th degree black belt in Taekwondo. And you can imagine, all of this martial arts knowledge has gone feeding into his television shows and into his films. So you get an idea of what kind of man he is. And then, in about 2005, these Chuck Norris facts began appearing. But in fact, they're not facts at all. They are forms of jokes. So these facts are normally absurd. Absurd is ridiculous, like crazy, like mad. Hyperbolic claims about Norris's toughness, his attitude, virility, sophistication, and masculinity. Right, we've talked about absurd. What do we mean by hyperbole? Hyperbole is the deliberate use of exaggeration or overstatement. You should have done hyperbole in your literature classes because it is a figure of speech. It's deliberate exaggeration. So let's go back to that definition. The facts about Chuck Norris are normally absurd, crazy, mad, insane, hyperbolic, hugely exaggerated claims about what? About how tough he is, about his attitude, and man, has he got attitude. His virility. His virility goes with masculinity, how masculine he is, how tough he is, and his sophistication, how much better he is than the rest of us. So these became facts, but in fact they're not facts, they're jokes, but based on this Chuck Norris character. So what I'm saying is you're not going to find most of it funny if you don't know where it's come from. This is another problem with humor. So with all of that background, let's just go to hyperbole again. Hyperbole is used to do what? To emphasize the significance or the extent of something. To make something seem greater or better than it is. Hyperbole is used to emphasize the truth of a statement. What is to exaggerate? Hyperbole is exaggeration. What is to exaggerate? To exaggerate is to regard something or to represent something as larger, greater, more successful, more important than it actually is. Do you remember we talked about Alexander Graham Bell in an earlier lesson? We talked about the fact that he is credited with inventing the telephone. Look at this Chuck Norris fact, and we really should put fact in inverted commas. When Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone, he had 3 missed calls from Chuck Norris. Now that is a joke. What are we suggesting? That Chuck Norris had already invented the telephone. He was so much better than Alexander Graham Bell. Obviously, it's nonsense. It couldn't be possible, but it's a joke. It's meant to be funny. Even if you don't find it funny yourself, you should be able to explain why somebody else finds it funny. Another Chuck Norris fact. Chuck Norris doesn't dial a wrong number. You answer the wrong phone. Again, look at the exaggeration. He is perfect. He's beyond us, so he can't possibly dial a wrong number. It must be you who is making the mistake. As I said, even if you don't laugh, you need to understand how the joke is working. You need to understand why somebody else might find it funny. And in these ones, it's because of the hyperbole, the exaggeration. We're going to continue to talk about listening and speaking in our next segment.